Welcome to episode 3 of the Adventure Podcast, brought to you by School of Media and Communication of Taylor's University. Today we are with Miss Nisha Roy, the Managing Director of MNC Saatchi Malaysia. So, Miss Nisha Roy, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you as my first time hosting, as you're my first guest. It's an honor. Yeah.
Well, it's my first time on a podcast, so
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
Right. So before we start, I just want to ask you about your history in the advertising industry. So what can you tell me about how you entered or anything about your history and why you pursued advertising?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people, I never grew up thinking I would be in advertising. I actually went to university and read law.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out of university and I worked for a bit. And, like any young person, I just thought to myself, crap, I don't know what I want to do. And it just so happened, it was a beautiful accident,
Mm-hmm.
right? It so happened that I was in a social setting and I met somebody who would be my first ever boss in the industry. And he was really nice over gin and tonics. He sat down and explained to me a little bit about the industry. He was really patient and he broke it down.
Mm-hmm.
I think he saw something in me and he opened the door. He essentially opened the door into advertising for me, and I came in by way of PR,
Mm-hmm.
and I started there. And it was a great learning curve for me, and I had the opportunity to work on like so many great accounts. Like my first big account was Tourism Malaysia,
Ah,
as a
that's a very good
young
tip.
young account executive. That was quite epic. And the same boss was also someone who opened the door to what would be then the next 15 years of my
I see.
passion, which is
Mm-hmm.
strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was my first boss and somebody that found believed in me and opened those doors for me. And so today, 15 years later, I'm here because of him. I wouldn't be here without him. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the really important thing for me is to pay it forward, right? So I think my advice to any student coming in is like look out for that one person because that's all it takes, right?
True, true.
Just one person to
Yeah,
believe in
even as a
you.
student, like a lot of students look up to lecturers. That one lecturer they look up to and ask for advice, and
Mm.
that shapes the way they will go to the industry or work or
Yeah.
where they're gonna end up. Right. So I'm glad to hear you found someone like that who helped you out.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's my turn, right? My
Hmm.
turn to do that for other people. And I think now, when you come up to a place where you can influence,
Hmm.
then you should do the same thing for
Of course,
others.
yeah. I
So,
mean, yeah, pay it forward.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you have been in the industry, the agency ad industry for about 2 decades now. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Well,
it's been a long
yeah, okay.
it's a long time. So can you tell me about your day to day life? Like what do you do in the morning? How does your day start?
Well, I mean, my day's not going to be a typical day in the day of an advertising agency, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think generally, what happens in an agency is that everybody's role is different, and so we will spend a lot of time brainstorming and brainstorming creative concepts, pitching those concepts to our clients, getting rejected, coming back again, repitching those concepts, but
Mm-hmm.
it's part and parcel of it. And then of course we strategize. The strategy teams spend a lot of time looking into data and analytics and just kind of make sure that we're on brand and we're answering the business briefs. And then the brand management teams, they're like, the backbone. They bring everyone together. They make sure things move out on time and they execute things on time. And so I think we spend a lot of time collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the beautiful thing about what happens on a day to day basis in an agency is that there's no one person that can say that one piece of work that went out, it was all me.
Yeah, of course. It's a
Every hand
teamwork
from every
collaboration.
department has had a hand in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big part of it, collaboration and teamwork. And if that's your jam,
Mm-hmm.
then this is the space for you.
True. I mean, a lot of students have this thinking in have this thought that in university life, why do we do group projects? But eventually, when they do join the industry, they have to do collaborations because one person really cannot, do all the tasks themselves.
Yeah,
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 of
I
course.
think that's so true. I think, group projects is a great introduction to what it's going to be like when you work in a professional environment and you have to work within a team, right?
Yeah.
I think the difference would be you are in a professional environment,
Of course. Yeah.
right? So you've got to, have mutual respect for each
Sure.
other. You've got to understand that people are very different from each
Mm-hmm.
other. Communication is super important.
Yeah.
I think, in order to make any project successful in a group environment, it's
Mm-hmm.
that openness to everyone's ideas and thoughts,
Yeah.
and also just celebrating everyone's diversity.
Of course.
I and just respecting their point of view and
Mm-hmm.
hearing people out. I think
Yeah.
that's
So you're the managing director, right,
yes.
of MNC Saatchi. So what do you do? What are your tasks and responsibilities as a managing director?
Uh, It's such a hard question to
I mean, yeah,
answer
it's a
as a
very broad, it's
managing
a broad
director,
thing
but
to
yeah,
do.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can give you my job description,
Yeah, but
but the
that's
truth
just
of the
the
matter
description, of
is,
course.
as long as the agency is operationally running well, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just making sure that we're putting great quality products out there into market. We're making sure that our people are happy, that we're looking after our creative talent,
Mm-hmm.
because every single person in my agency is like the heart and soul of what we do. And so a lot of time I spend is really just speaking to them, talking to them, troubleshooting things, talking to clients,
Yeah,
networking, because we still need to get new business
of
in,
course.
things like that. So it just kind of cuts through everything. You're
Mm-hmm.
kind of a jack of all trades.
True. So, as you said, like 20 years ago, you had the
16.
16. I'm so sorry. Sorry. 16 years ago, you had you met someone who was your boss later on, and then you joined this industry.
Yeah.
So, what are the most rewarding? What are the things which rewarded you the most joining this industry? What made you happy? Or uh, things which happened to you which made you think, yes, I'm in the right place? Because a lot of people, they join different industries and then they understand later on in their life that this is not where I was supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
But clearly, yeah, you're right where you're supposed to be. So what made you understand that, yes, this is my space?
I think every day is a different day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to work and do the same thing every single day. I think that's super awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, of course.
in 16 years, you have the opportunity to work across so many different subject matters and categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could have a conversation with you about cement. I could have a conversation with you about makeup. I could have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with you about telecommunications, because I've had the opportunity to like immerse myself in all these categories. So you suddenly find yourself being like the jack of all trades. You have a lot of
True.
information, knowledge is like just right there.
And of course, it's a growing industry, right? Where things are changing. It's not the same as before.
Yeah.
And that's why it's also fun to learn new things, even in later stages of our career or life.
Yeah, so I mean we can talk about everything,
Yeah,
right?
of
Like
course.
I mean I've been in here for 16 years. When I came into the industry, there was no social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was social media. Now there's AI, and
Yeah.
before we had no AI. So I think the consistent thing in the industry is that change is constant, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something we embrace, and being able to adapt is highly important, right? That's the first thing. But I think just looking at the experience so far, being able to just being versatile, being able to adapt, being a part of so many different things at the same time, and the diversity in your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this mantra that, and my team makes fun of me about it, but it's something that's very important to us, is no input, no output,
True. Of
right? Across
course.
the board, no input, no output.
Yeah.
Creativity is not yeah, the people are talented.
Mm-hmm.
I think you come to the board with baseline talent.
Yeah.
But if you don't fill and nourish your mind with information, and you're not curious and willing to learn and grow and adapt and make mistakes, take risks,
Exactly.
that's where if you're not like that, then creativity will die.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no input, no output, I think is fundamental, whether
No,
you're
that's a
talking
really
to a
good
client,
mantra
right?
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, right, most of the things I've learned was through mistakes. I mean, yes, accomplishments are there, but
Yeah,
mistakes for sure
yeah.
help to show what we are lacking. Yeah. But it seems like you have been enjoying your time in the industry. But obviously, every industry has its own challenges and difficulties. So, what are some of the challenges you have faced in the industry? Obviously, you must have in the last 16 years.
Yeah, I think the challenges of the industry were a lot more like pronounced when I first came in. Like when I first came in, there was no such thing as work-life balance,
Yeah.
you know, and it was kind of like I can't remember. I think the first 6 years or 7 years of my career, I can't remember going home before like 12 o'clock at
Mm-hmm.
night, and I didn't complain. It was like super fun, right? Because I was learning, and it was all, you know, it was always a problem to solve.
Yeah.
And I think if that drives you, that's also very appealing. I think that kind of thing has kind of changed depending on the agency that you're in, you know. But fundamentally, I think it's the speed of adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that we're always trying to keep up with, right? Sometimes it honestly, sometimes you when you're leading an agency, and I'm talking to my bosses, and we're
Mm-hmm.
thinking like, how do we do this? How do we do this fast enough? Just when you think you're getting it right, something else
Yeah.
changes, right?
Of course.
But that's the reality of life. I think that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to adapt and change at speed to keep up. And I think, sometimes, well, for us, Malaysia, we have a little bit of a talent brain drain problem,
True.
right? And we're really looking to young, fresh, uh, you know, people coming out of universities and colleges to look at our industry and go, yeah, I have something to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do. And I think we're looking for more creative talent to hone and build and grow. I think that's it. Of course, we still struggle with work-life balance some
Mm-hmm.
days, but I think where we're at today is a heck of a lot of a better
I mean,
place
yeah.
than where we were
For
before.
example, European countries right now having 4-day week,
Yeah,
work week rather than 5 days. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's changing for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. So as you said, creativity is a very important aspect in the advertising
yeah.
industry. So what are some of the techniques or strategies you use as a team leader or people in the industry use to bring it out of people? Because as you said, there are people who are creative and very talented,
Yeah,
but they have to bring it out of them, right? So what
yeah.
are some of the things you do which helps them bring out this creativity?
I think the most important thing is that you're never going to be creative if you're sitting in front of your computer at a desk trying to figure out and solve problems.
Yeah, of
Our
course.
job is to hit the consumer
Mm-hmm.
with a message that would make them take an action.
Hmm.
Google is not going to give you that answer.
Of course.
Google will help you validate your hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like go out into the world and experience everything you can, right? And that's what I always tell my teams, right? Get out of here. If you need to brainstorm, go brainstorm outside these four walls if you have to. Look at people, just watch someone. If you're selling a drink,
Mm-hmm.
just watch someone open a can of drink, how they open it. Like if they haven't tried it before, somebody might smell it first. Like all these tiny observations get translated into as fodder for your creative opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think the biggest thing is one, get out there and experience stuff. No input, no output, right?
Yeah.
Just feed your soul, feed
Mm-hmm.
yourself, observe everything, break people down psychologically, right? Do that because that's what you have to do
Yeah,
every
because
single
that's your
day.
main.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Understanding people and understanding what people need in order to do what you want them to do,
Of
right?
course.
And then the second thing for me is like just creating a safe space
Mm-hmm.
for creatives to just do what they need to do. Like take the risk. Sometimes just go nuts, right? Go nuts on an idea. Let's see how far you can push it. Um, I think just creating an environment where people feel that it's safe for them to just put their opinions on the table,
True.
their ideas on the table, because what I've discovered or learned as
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten older and wiser is that there's no, someone in a whole barrage of a paragraph that they say will say three keywords, and I'm like, that's it. That's the thought. So I'm always keen to listen to any point of view.
Of course, I mean the more crazier campaigns are the ones which have been successful, especially right now with the Gen Z and people wanting to see different kind of ads rather than the old ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
these ideas do work. So obviously in a team collaboration is very important,
Mm.
and so how do they collaborate in your team, especially how do they collaborate to bring a campaign to life? It's a bit of a vague question, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mean, lots of different things, I
hmm
think. Well, collaboration between teams is really just, I don't know how to describe it except, you're literally sitting around a table and you're just putting some points of view on the board or just talking through certain things and be like, hey, I saw this cool idea. It's like a lot of things happening at the same time. So
hmm
everybody's just chucking, what they've learned, what they've experienced, their insights, and then that gets synthesized into something that's palatable and understandable by the consumer.
hmm
So collaboration happens by communication, just talking and being able to hear people out again, that kind of thing. Of course, we have methodologies that we adopt for
yeah.
brainstorming, and those
hmm
are the techniques we use. There's so many techniques you can use to brainstorm. Um, the other thing that really works very well is, sometimes we're a little insulated as
hmm
agencies. We work on an idea internally and then we'll go and present it to the client. But what I find is that the best campaigns are actually campaigns that you work very closely with and you collaborate directly with the client. So we'll run like workshops,
hmm
we'll run like, facilitated, structured sessions with our clients. So we get to a space where the thinking is like,
Very close. Yeah.
yeah, and everybody's had a say in it. And that means more thought processes,
hmm
more ideas.
Because
And
at the end, it's their product which they'll have to launch, and you have to. Yeah.
absolutely. I think, again, if there's this whole thing, right? Like when you
hmm
come into the industry new, what I notice or observe is that, you come and go, I'm a writer or I'm a designer, you know?
hmm
And you're like, that's really great. You can write and you can design stuff, but can you do that in a commercial setting?
True.
Can you do that with a lens that you need to write for business? So I think that's very fundamental. We exist to answer problems or opportunities that our clients may have in the market in
hmm
order to drive sales.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're selling something.
hmm
So, how do we help them do that in the most creative possible way?
Of course.
Right? So, it's an art form in itself, but it's not fine art.
True.
Yeah.
It's a bit of all together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty tough. You said that yeah, obviously the industry has adapted a lot due to social media coming up and now AI as well. So how could you tell me a bit about how it has evolved, especially social media wise, right? Because social media has been a uh, very big platform for ad agencies or ads. So how has it evolved?
I mean, I don't know whether this point is, I don't know if people look at it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I spent many years in a digital agency as well, so I understand the landscape quite well. But to me, it's really just another touch point, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fundamentals of marketing have not changed. What has evolved is the touch points that we have to put our marketing out. So I think you just need to understand those touch points, right? Understand how they work, understand how consumers use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So take Facebook, take Instagram, take TikTok, right? I'll be just broadly superficial about it, right? So Facebook Facebook is, information. You wake up in the morning, you want to read some news or you want to
Yeah.
hear things. I know your generation totally is
True.
like no Facebook, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, a generation before me
Facebook
had Facebook.
Marketplace.
True.
That's what you
That
use it for, right?
kind of, yeah. Yeah. But also, a lot of fake news have been on Facebook. That is why my generation
Yeah.
stays a bit further away from Facebook.
Yeah,
Because,
that's where
yeah,
it's late information and
true.
probably wrong
Yeah.
information,
Like,
right?
for example, my generation, right? They use Twitter more because if it's fake, Twitter has this function where right, us audience can actually say it's misinformation.
Right.
But Facebook doesn't. So we really typically stay away from Facebook right now.
Right.
Most of our moms and dads use Facebook more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. My mom and dad use Facebook too.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, so Facebook is really informational, right?
hmm
Instagram is where you go if you want to look at beautiful, beautiful things.
Yes.
TikTok is where you go when you want to learn things really fast
hmm
and be entertained. And YouTube is education, YouTube is entertainment. So
Yeah,
just principally understanding how consumers use these platforms help you already.
of course.
And then understanding the intricacies of it, what would work, what wouldn't,
Hmm.
how long, all the technicalities of the platforms. I think that's fine. But I think the fundamentals of marketing have not changed. You're still there to solve business problems.
Yeah,
How do you do it on Facebook? How do you do it on
because they have
Instagram?
different target audiences. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
to figure those out.
exactly. So understanding your audiences still comes, that's the core of it,
Hmm.
right?
But yeah, of course, it's still changing. So, what new skill would you say a person who's joining the industry would
I think
need?
yeah. I mean, of course,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be the first person that says. I'm going to be the millionth person that says this. Like, AI, come
yeah,
on,
of course. Yeah.
right? AI is here.
Hmm.
Let's not be afraid of it. I love it. It's the most
True.
efficient. It's added so much efficiency in my life. It's unbelievable. I can outsource mundane tasks to AI that make my then I that frees up my time to do other things.
Hmm.
My creatives use it to also now I can go into a client and like in 2 3 days show them a concept that to help them visualize better. I use AI to share
Yeah.
concepts with them, so it works that way. But I think you really need to understand how AI works. You really need to understand when to use AI. And to
How to
me,
ethically use it, of course.
yeah. But I think the interesting thing for me is that, at least what I think I'm going to be looking out for is, I think AI is going to separate real creative people
Hmm.
from non creative people.
True.
Because you need to be super creative and smart to use AI. Like,
Hmm.
you need to direct AI, and the better you are at doing it, the more prompt mastery you are,
Of course, yeah. There's so many videos
you're
right
going to
now.
get better
Write prompts for
output.
ChatGPT. Yeah.
Absolutely. So do that. Be a prompt master.
Hmm.
Understand how you use this technology. Understand what it can do for you. It can put creativity on steroids if you want it to,
That's true.
right? I think that's the point of AI. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think a lot of people are like a bit like, eek, it's going to kill creativity.
Yeah, and a lot of
It's
people obviously with is it their real idea or not? Is it just an AI idea? But using it as a tool obviously helps a lot. As you
And
said, steroids
that's the
for
key word,
yeah,
right? It's a tool.
yeah,
So use it that way.
of course.
And I think it's very important to understand how it works and just like learn how to
Hmm.
prompt it, learn how it works, learn to get better output. I think that's really fundamental right now.
True. So coming back to work-life balance, right? You
Mm.
said like 16 years ago, work-life balance was really bad. You used
Yeah,
to work till 12 a.m. But
yeah.
obviously now it's a bit better.
I was young. It's not so bad. But if I had to do that now, I think I would be very
Hmm.
sad.
So it's a very prominent topic for young professionals,
Yep.
especially people who are joining the industry.
Yep.
So what can you tell about how has it really changed? Because a lot of people say it has changed, it is changing. They want it to be changed, but it's not changed. So what
Yeah.
are your thoughts about it?
I might say something quite controversial.
Of course, no
Okay.
problem.
I don't believe in work-life balance. I think it
Mm.
doesn't exist. It's like utopia. All right,
Hmm.
balance. That's the
Yeah,
key word, right? Like, you work 9 to 5. What balance are you talking
of
about,
course. That's a
right?
lot of hours.
I think it's work-life integration. I'll
Hmm.
give you an example, right? I'm a mom of a 4-year-old. I also am the MD of a company. I need to be able to do both things
Hmm.
and not stretch myself thin, right? So I come to work early. I get to work about 9:30, right? Like, that's early in advertising, by the way. Like, I get to work about 9:30. I get, I do get my emails out of the way, deal with things. My whole team knows that about 5:30, 5:45, I'm leaving, right? I'm leaving the office because I want to go home. I want to have dinner with my kid,
Hmm.
and I want to put him to bed. And once that's done, I'll get back to work again. Or I'll wake up early in the morning and I'll do it, right? Or I'll go pick up my son from school over lunch. So there's work life integration. And I
Hmm.
think what we try to do is to be flexible enough in our agency to help people manage their lives while they work. So I can say, oh my gosh, let's subscribe to work from home fully. I mean, that's very difficult to do in
A
a creative
collaborative,
space
yeah.
and a collaborative space.
Hmm.
So yeah, there are days that the teams really do need to be physically in the office to work together. There are days that you work from home because your kid is sick, or
Hmm.
you just need some space to think while you execute some of your work. Like, I think we leave it up to the managers and the team leads to decide what each member of our team requires to do their job at their highest
Potential.
level,
Yeah.
right? And I think we adopt that philosophy rather than just this, oh no, we're going to have hybrid or
Yeah.
but we have work from home Fridays, which is
That's
like
so
awesome.
technically almost a 4 day week work week.
Sinister plan
Yeah.
in action, but yeah.
But obviously, like in a creative environment like yours, it's really hard to work from home. I mean, yeah, there are professions like finance or maybe other professions which do suit work from home, but yeah, for this, it's not really there.
Yeah, I think again, like I said, right,
Hmm.
there are moments.
Yeah.
There are moments where you just think about it this way. If you're a creative person, if
Hmm.
you're a writer, and you've got like 5 ads or you need to write a script,
Yeah.
sometimes being in the office in this environment is not the most conducive space for you to
True.
get in your zone and do what you need to do. So, you can do it at a cafe if that works for you,
Hmm.
do it at home if that's more conducive to
Yeah, it
you. And I
depends on
think
person
we're
to person.
flexible about that. I think the only boundary that I have is like just get work done, right?
Hmm.
Just be an adult. That's the point. You are all
Yeah.
adults. I don't have to be a mom and tell
Hmm.
you, oh, you better be here on time, and just manage your life and manage your professional environment,
Hmm.
and we will be flexible with you for that. I think you earn the right to flexibility as an employee,
Of course, yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, after 4 years of university, you have to learn the responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the ad agency or the advertising industry, there are a lot of misconceptions still there. So how
Right.
would you dispel them, or how would
Oh,
you?
right.
Yeah.
Um, I think number one is that it's all glamorous.
Hmm.
Right? I think a lot of times I talk to young people, or at least the young people that come into the agency and don't really survive past like the first 2 months.
Hmm.
They're like,
Does that
this
happen
is it.
often?
Yeah, it happens, and I think it's because you know there's this ideology
Hmm.
that what you guys see is the awards and the shows and the epic things
Yeah.
that happen. And yeah, those things happen. Yeah, there are moments of glamour, but
Hmm.
how do you think we got there?
It takes
Like,
hard
what do you
work.
think happens behind the scenes?
Hmm.
Like, it's work, it's dedication, it's sacrifice, it's commitment to your art form, it's
Hmm.
all of those things, right? And it's resilience, like the ability to come back to the table again, be rejected, go back and get to the point where you're in a position of success.
Hmm.
I think that's the industry, right? Like, I would say that this industry is achingly wonderful, right? Achingly wonderful, because you're putting your ideas on the table, and that's a very vulnerable thing to do.
Hmm.
And you're putting your soul and ideas on the table, and
And
somebody's like,
something's just
does
rejected.
not work,
Yeah.
don't like that guy, don't like that image. And that's fine and that's okay, right? Because we're
Hmm.
trying to get good work out.
Of course.
But it's part and parcel of it. So that's the difficult part, right? That's the
True.
part that's painful. That's the
Emotional as
ache.
well. Yeah.
But the wonderful part is when the work gets out.
Hmm.
I cannot even begin to tell you the feeling you get when you see great work go out.
And then the audience's
And
reaction.
people love it.
Yeah.
And you win awards for it, which
Yeah.
is part and parcel of the industry, right?
Hmm.
That feeling, that to me, like goosebumps, surpasses all the pain and ache that you go
Hmm.
through, right? Anything worth doing is painful. And that's the truth. And I think that if you can lean into that pain, because it will deliver joy at the
Hmm.
end of the day, I think you got a good formula. But yeah, it's not an easy industry.
Of course. But as you said, a lot of campaigns they do become successful, but there are a lot of campaigns which don't.
Yeah.
So how does your team handle, or how do you handle your team when situations like this arise?
Resiliently take it. you know
I would.
not every
Hmm.
brief is going to be fantastical.
Hmm.
There's some briefs that are just like very simple. I need to achieve certain things or KPIs. The clients will come to tell you this. And the great thing about it is that the really good clients will tell you straight up, this one is just to drive certain milestones, right?
Hmm.
So do this, focus on this. So we call it BAU stuff, like it's business as usual stuff.
Hmm.
And then you get the special briefs. the special briefs that are, focused on a cool opportunity or on a game-changing product or just a new brand that's launched or a rebrand, whatever it is, right? Those
Hmm.
are the ones that you're like, yes,
You
this
can
is
do something
great.
new. Yeah, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to follow a formula.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think in your agency life, you will have a balance of all of those things. And I think it's the reality of it is you have to know the difference.
hmm,
You have to be able to come to the table and go, this piece of work needs me to do this. Um, I'm not saying do less good work. I'm just saying not everything's going to be an award winning
of course. Yeah,
piece of work.
it's a
It's
very
just going to be a piece of work that
yeah.
that moves, hits a goal or hits an objective,
Hmm.
and that's essentially it.
True. It is a very hard industry, though people think it's very easy. But yeah, there are a lot of hard work to be done. Yeah. So obviously, you have been managing director for about 2 years now.
Coming up to 2 years, yeah.
So what are your future plans for your company or just the advertising industry as a whole?
Yeah, I'm excited for my agency this year.
Hmm.
I think coming out of COVID was tough
I mean, it was tough
across the
for I
board.
think,
Yeah,
especially
for
in media. Yeah,
everyone.
it was very
Yeah, it
tough.
was tough right across the board. But I think last year was really a year where we were trying to stabilize, and a lot of agencies were in the same boat.
Hmm.
And this year, touch wood, uh, MNC Saatchi, we're in our transformation year, right? We're stabilized. We've got the talent that we need in,
Hmm.
and it's time this year to kind of do the cool things that we wanted to do that we didn't probably have time to do last year because we were
You're still
focused on
building back
stabilizing
up.
the
Yeah.
business. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what we do more in the industry. I think last year we had the Kunchal Awards, which was very differentiated from a lot of other years.
Hmm.
Um, and walking into the Kunchal Awards last year, I was really excited to see the talent that we have because we've got some really talented people,
Hmm.
and the vibe of that creative energy in one space was like magnetic. That air was super magnetic, and I think I'm excited to see more of those kinds of things and more talent coming together. And I think what I'm seeing more and more is that whilst we have so many competitive agencies, uh, there are so many people coming together regardless of our competitive affiliate alliances,
Hmm.
right? Like to drive the industry forward creatively because we believe in creativity.
Of course. So, final question. I've
Yes.
made you talk already. So many. You've already spoken so much, but yeah, just final question. So, looking ahead, what trends do you see coming up in the advertising industry? So, what are some of the things which aspiring professionals or recent graduates can look ahead to, especially in the advertising industry?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on it earlier,
Yeah,
right?
of
We
course.
touched on AI. I wouldn't call it a trend. It's
As a
it's
tool.
it's a here to stay kind of
Hmm.
situation, right? I think we just need to continue to adapt at speed, right? I think speed is key. And I think if you're using AI well, you do that. And I think that I think that's the focus right now. Focus on mastering this entire AI genre, right? Like look at what's available to you, look at how you can utilize it and like,
Like
you
you
know,
said, the creative and the non-creative.
yeah.
It's a really easy
I
way
think
to.
that's
Yeah.
if you ask me if anything that would be the thing.
Hmm.
I see that very clearly now. I see some spark of that coming out now where I'm seeing people who are super creative
Hmm.
using AI and they're getting their creativity is like on steroids, like I
Yeah.
said. And then some people who are just like, well, I used to be such a creative person and now I'm not anymore.
Because AI has already
Because
taken
AI
over.
can do what I'm doing at baseline,
Hmm.
right? So how do you take what AI can do at baseline and like take it up to stratosphere? I think that's
Steroids. Yeah.
yes. I keep
Right.
saying that. Is that kosher? I don't know.
So yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
me.
for
For
having
I
me.
made you talk so much already. I'm so sorry.
No,
Okay,
don't be
so
emotional.
that was episode 3 with Miss Nisha Roy. Stay tuned for episode 4 coming soon. Thank you.